Hello, everyone. So, today we will talk about a question many people are asking. What the hell is Iran doing? Because if you've been following the situation, the first reaction is pretty much like they are striking everyone. Me and the friend joked 2 days ago that we think the next country that they will strike are the Philippines because, why not, right? But obviously, there is a more serious angle to it and there is a strategy behind it. Is it a good strategy though? I'm not sure. So before we dive in, I will remind you this is a new channel where we take Polymarket bets and markets and we analyze them seriously, explain why the numbers are the way they are, the geopolitical, situations behind it, and I'm usually showing also how I am playing those situations and markets. And the idea is kind of to help people seriously, make profit on Polymarket, not just like bet on what will Bitcoin do in 5 minutes, but make more informed decisions. And hopefully, I am helping with that. With all that said, let's dive in. So, Polymarket today still is pretty much Iran. The same it has been the past few days, which has been like really good opportunities for me at least. As I said before, my portfolio is up pretty much 200% and in a few weeks, which is insane. It's just insane. And sure, there might be a luck element to it, but well, luck is also part of it, I'm guessing. Um, we have a lot of Iran, Israel, U.S. markets going from who will hit who when. But the thing I want to discuss today is the whole logic behind Iran's behavior. And look, again, it looks like they're pretty much freaking out, right? It's like I don't know, it's what's happening seems to be the geopolitical equivalent of throwing a tantrum. It's like the past, like just so you understand, like let's look at the map, right? So we have Iran and this is the Gulf state. So they have hit pretty much everyone by now, all right? So we have the US bases and Israel that they launched missiles toward. That kind of makes sense. But also Syria was hit. Today, Turkey was hit. Cyprus was hit. Cyprus, all right? Now look at how far this is. And, here's a name you didn't expect to hear a few days ago. But we have even weirder things. So Bahrain, Qatar, U.A.E., Oman, the guys who tried like to break the ceasefire between the Iran and the US pretty much, were hit. Qatar are like their friends. Like, so Qatar is a weird country, all right, because it has like not such a bad reputation, but Qatar is a really problematic player in the area. It has been funding Hamas, like it's been the main funder fund. It has been given money to Hamas, right? It's like the biggest revenue source for Hamas. Then you have like Saudi, which, the relationship between Saudi and Iran has known ups and downs. They're definitely not friends, but Iran is pretty much like, Kuwait was also hit. Like, really, they're hitting countries that are supposed to be their friends, which is insane. Also, they're closing they already announced twice that they are gonna like shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a lie. They won't, and I'll explain why in a minute. But they have been pretty much, it looks like, we're just gonna like shoot at everything and hopefully something will come out of it. Now, I can look at it from two perspectives. The first one is they are a rational player, right? And there is a smart strategy behind it. And if that's the case, let's think what the strategy is. So the logic would be one of the two, but it brings us to the same point. Either it's about oil prices, right? So you target oil infrastructure, and you pressure Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, and all of that, basically oil prices go up. This is bad for the world. It's bad for the US. Everyone starts yelling at the US, stop, stop, stop. This is like not fun for us. And US like just gets pressured into stopping the whole thing and reaching a deal. That's option number one. Option number two is that, again, the Gulf states, which generally are in good relationship with the US, maybe not as good as Israel, but they are certainly with this administration, they kind of take a lot of pride with being a peaceful area in the Middle East, right? Ironically, Israel doesn't have this reputation. So, the U.A.E., who, by the way, today have really good relationship with Israel, they're trying to kind of paint Dubai as the futuristic city of business and pleasure, and it's like a safe haven in the Middle East, and like missiles flying there and drones kind of not helping this reputation, which they were working really hard to acquire, right? And like being in the Middle East, it's not an easy reputation to acquire. So that's another point why they might be doing that. And they've been bombing Riyadh and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and pretty much, again, all the civilian, peaceful, like, capitals and cities. Both of those lead us to the same point. Those countries panicking and pressuring the US and kind of running to the US and saying, like, stop, stop, stop. All right. Now, for the other option, and here's the funny thing about news. I'm gonna bring back the screen for a sec. So here's the funny thing about like news and I will call it mainstream media, but any media and any smart analytics people on the TV, right, that like sit in suits and know what's going to happen, and they somehow always get it wrong. There is another option which no one is taking seriously, and that is that they are panicking, all right? Now, look, at the end of the day, and I'm sorry for sounding not nice, but the Iranian regime is not exactly a group of really high, sophisticated, high-end professionals. It's kind of a bunch of idiots with flip-flops. And the amount of failures that they had recently is insane, all right? Like the fact, so you can say like Israel and US are like so amazing that they were able to wipe out the main leader who knew that an attack is coming, and 40 top generals, I will say it again, 40 top generals at the same time who were gathering in like one location while waiting for an attack to happen above ground. All right? Like, so when you're saying like, are they just being idiots? Maybe. Like, that's an actual possibility. And again, there are both those possibilities. When you play on Polymarket, you can kind of think, well, this is it. But I think that the credit of like they are not good is not like good enough. You get what I mean? It's like it's not being taken seriously well enough. Everyone are assuming that they're super smart and there is like a super high-end strategy here. Now about the other option. And I feel that I'm gonna say something that no one else will. So let's say it's 50-50. There are both options. One is like a rational player that is trying to pressure those countries to pressure the US. And the second one is like they're completely panicking. They have no idea what to do. They're just shooting at everything because that's the only thing that they have. If they're a rational player, that still doesn't solve it, because then you need to agree that it's a good strategy, and it's not. And now I'm talking for a personal, like, feeling and history knowledge. So how many like people do you know, or countries do you know, that were hit by any military attack and their reaction was like, I'm gonna go to the big empire and cry? Usually the way to react is like, if you're a country, if you're an actual normal country, and I'm not talking about like, again, sorry, but like, useless loser countries, you strike back because you have to. It's not even a choice. Like, you have to. Someone is invaded you, you have to respond. Otherwise, it's like a really problematic long-term strategy. And the more Iran is weak, the more they have to respond. They have more incentives to respond, because if Iran was in a good, strong situation, then you're like, well, if I'm gonna respond, then it's problematic. But the weaker Iran is, and the better the U.S. Israeli, operation war, whatever is going, the more it makes sense for the Gulf states to react, even if it's just symbolic. Like, you know what? Like, I get that Kuwait is not like, the most like cool and brave country. I get that, really. But at the same time, like, there is a limit, right? If I were a Kuwaiti, I would be like, hell, I'm gonna, like, I don't know, bomb a field of coconuts in Iran or something, right? Like, do something that at least to save face. That is pretty much what is happening. So we have markets about a lot of those things, all right? Let's dive into that. So we have, will a Gulf state strike Iran by March 7th? A bunch of Iranian things. Will Iran close the Straits of Hormuz, and by which date? U.S. forces entering Iran. When will the Iranian regime fall? About that, let's actually start with this one, because that I wanted to talk about. So, and here is, I'm going to say something that not a lot of people are saying for some reason, and I'm confused about why. To me, this doesn't look like a really smart Iranian strategy. And from my point of view, unlike what everyone else are saying, I have zero reasons to believe that the Iranian regime is really smart and knows what it's doing. Definitely when 41 of its top generals have been taken out by a single strike. I think that what's happening there now is an insane mess. All right? And I think part of this insane mess is just like shooting at everything. And this to me shows panic. That's how I'm reading it. I think they're completely panicked. They have no idea what they're doing. And it makes sense. It's not, by the way, because they're stupid. It's because this is what happens in those situations. And I think it's way more hectic than everyone thinks. And that's why I think it's a huge sign that the regime will fall. And this market, for example, talks about June 30th. So I'm personally reading that the number is definitely not 100%, but 39 surprises me. I think at the moment it looks way more, even though, like, as you can see, the correction seems like started, right? Until now it was around 20, which is like, I don't know, seems low to me. Then, will a Gulf state strike Iran by March 7th? So I will say, I said yes, all right? I actually have an open position for yes. And the reason is, and you will find this maybe funny, but I refuse to believe we live in a world where 7, 8 countries combined can be so useless as to let like hundreds of ballistic missiles hit them. And it's hundreds, by the way. More ballistic missiles have been launched by Iran to the Gulf states than Israel, all right? So I refuse to believe that someone can be so useless and frightened from a falling, crumbling country that doesn't have any money, doesn't have water, doesn't have army, and is getting pounded for the past few days. Like, this can't be. Like, they have to, I don't know, they have to strike a coconut facility in Iran, like something useless. I don't know, strike a cat. But just like, it's so weird to me that this is not just like 19%, it's also going down. I don't understand this. And I will, you know what, if I'm wrong on this, I will make a video specifically about this and admit that I was wrong, just like I did the whole I told you so when the war started. But like, this can't be 19%. Like, this is 8 countries that have been hit by ballistic missiles. Like, they have to respond. Like, how useless do you think they are? Right? And if they don't respond, then wow, it's amazing. Like, then like I will say, like, really, I don't know, like, Israel should stop fearing them forever. Because, like, who cares if they don't respond to ballistic missiles flying their way? Like, they won't respond to anything. Oh, this was a fun rant. And The last thing I want to talk about is the Straits of Hormuz. So this is basically a narrow pass where I don't remember how much, but a lot of the world oil trade goes through, and Iran has the weapon of doomsday to close it. Also, by the way, part of the reason why I think Iran is completely panicking is because they have two like nuclear weapons at their disposal, not in the sense of actual nuclear weapons, in the sense of like, you know, the two cards that are like their final play, right? Like the two most extreme scary things that they can do. One is attacking the Gulf states, done, which again to me shows panic and that it's close, like the regime thinks that it's about to collapse and has just like, you know, goes to last resort things. And the second one is closing the Straits of Hormuz. Problem with that, and they already did this twice, and my first reaction, and I don't know, my girlfriend can testify to that, was like, you know, they were like, we're closing the Straits of Hormuz, and I literally said like, no, they're not. This is BS. Because this means fighting with China, this means fighting with Russia, this means fighting with everyone. This is like closing the Straits of Hormuz. They can do it as a threat and like, you know, yell like, oh, we're gonna close it, but it's kind of like, you know, two angry guys saying like, hold me, like, or I will punch the other guy. This is not happening. If it's happening, then it's the end. Like I will really, that will be the moment where I bet everything I have pretty much on the Iranian regime falling within days, because like China will just not let them do that. So they can try, they can like take a ship here and there, they can cause problems, but shutting it for more than like an hour, it's just not an option. So it doesn't really help with this market, because again, they might do it for an hour or so, but in reality, it's not something that that can happen, just so you understand the situation, or at least how I see it. Cool situation. U.S. forces enter Iran by, like they won't. I just wanted to say this, I think, is pretty much free money, which I'm taking. Something insane needs to happen, you know, for this to actually happen. So December, I probably wouldn't go, but others, that seems like a pretty safe bet. It would be very surprising. But also, you know, the numbers agree with this. Like no one is claiming otherwise. So, okay, this is pretty much what Iran is doing. I hope this gave a clear picture. Again, this is why we are here, to kind of give a more, usually a bit shorter, but you know, serious analysis of what is happening, and explain things on Polymarket and show cool opportunities that we have to actually make profit, or at least more informed decisions. Hope you guys join me, and this helps, you know, people. I think so far we've been really successful, but again, this is a new channel. It's been only a few weeks, so I know there is a chance it's just luck. We'll just wait and see. And I invite all of you to join this journey. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. So see you in the next one.